in the Oregon BDR, in the old version, it started from the Nevada border right near Alver Desert. And so it took that like kind of through Field Station and then headed northwest into the Cascades. The problem with that is that if you tried to do the Oregon BDR, your options were usually like, if it's decent weather in the desert area, then you're going to have tons of snow up in the Cascades. Or if you wait until the snow melts in the Cascades, then it's just so hot and miserable in that desert section. So I understand what they were trying to do. Like, I understand why they would want to have as much variety as possible, but logistically, for something that you spend a week riding, it wasn't really possible. And there were sections in that desert area where literally the BLM was like, hey, we do fire restrictions pretty early on, usually like in July, that say you can't even have vehicles on these routes once it becomes a certain level of fire risk. So logistically, they had to change it. You have tuned in to Remote Trails Radio. We're your hosts, Garrick and Melody, take you off the beaten path into the world of overlanding, life in the Pacific Northwest, and whatever the heck else we feel like chatting about. So grab a drink, settle in, and let's hit the trails together.
Welcome everyone for tuning in to Remote Trails Radio in 2026. I'm Melody.
And I'm Garrick.
And we have a very special episode for you to start off the year. Let's talk about 2025. Let's trash talk 2025, shall we?
It's like the anti-wrapped. It's let's just completely just take the wrap off and throw it away and never look at it again.
I had such promise, and then yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling that because it did not end well for me. I'm fine, don't worry. I'm
okay.
Healthy.
I was like,
I'm healthy and all that. Nobody's died, but
oh my god.
Other than my adventure spirit, because it seems like every single weekend it's just been some horrible weather complication getting in the way, this weekend included. Although this weekend I was able to pull it off, but still, it's like it started off with like crazy smoke and wildfires, and then eventually turned into just all the rain all the time.
Yeah.
Like, what has been your experience with this historic flooding that we're getting right now, Melody?
Well, for me right now, I am not being affected, which is great. However, a lot of my friends are being affected. And I was thinking last year of buying a house, and they do call out when there's floodplain because you can't get flood insurance in certain areas. And I thought about that, and I haven't lived here for too long, but I did hear that 10 years ago there were consistent floods every year. And I was just like, nah, didn't really believe it. Can you imagine?
Okay.
Right now, it's not good.
Oh, no. I cannot imagine like my whole life being upended and like taking whatever few things you could fit and then go stay in a hotel, like waiting for your house to hopefully survive the flood and then dry out and then have to make, it's crazy.
No, it's terrible, especially for a lot of adventurers in the North Bend area or East Carnation or Duval. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, there's so many roads that have been taken out because the ones that I've been on pretty regularly, like Highway 2 that goes from here to Leavenworth, that has like major damage and like whole lanes taken out. Part of it. 12 has a similar issue. There's flooding everywhere. I know Skagit's really crazy over there. And then on top of all that, so this weekend I was planning on going snow wheeling and potentially even snow skiing. Well, like cross country skiing. And well, there's no snow up in the mountains.
No, there's
like,
no snow.
It just all got washed away.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no skiing happening. It's kind of good because you can't get there right now.
Yeah, you can't drive there anyway.
You can't drive there on the roads. However, there's definitely no snow to be had. And I saw the mountain cams of the different mountains around here, and it's really sad.
It's depressing. Yeah.
I guess mountain biking is where it's at.
Yeah. Like the photos I was saying, I was like, you could have said that was like early October and I would have believed you because that's exactly what it looks like. It's crazy.
Yes. The wind is starting to gust again. So we've had some really strong winds and it's starting to gust again today. I am just waiting for that week-long power storm that we typically get once a year.
Right. Because your area is more susceptible to losing power in the windstorms. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then once it goes out, they typically don't repair it for a while. And with all the emergency crews working on the floods, wind is just Another thing that we don't want to worry about right now because power is essential. I mean, Leavenworth was dark. That is a historic Christmas destination, and it was dark for a while.
Oh, that is wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm deeming fall 2025 in the Pacific Northwest the most skippable fall season I've experienced living here. I'm glad I was able to get out to Moab and experience something else for a little while.
That is true. You timed that quite well, my friend.
Yeah. So
maybe we should get ski-doos now. They're probably pretty cheap. Just get some ski-doos
anything with skis on it for sure. Well, so that was my thing. Like this year is going to be my cross-country ski season. That's been my plan. So I bought skis and poles and all that and was all ready to go. Well, not even this weekend, but the weekend before that. But then it got pushed back, and now this thing pushed it back probably to at least probably late January at the earliest. So I don't know. I'm hoping maybe if I get lucky when I go home for Christmas, there might be snow still in South Dakota. So maybe I can finally get some use out of those skis.
Okay, so I did want to talk to you about that because there is supposed to be an epic storm of 50 to 100 inches of snow happening on the passes. And that won't affect me as much until I get to around Shasta in Northern California, but it is going to affect you quite a lot if you're not leaving until Saturday.
Yeah, so I'll have to look. When my usual plan is that if I have to get around passes, I could take I-5 down to, is it 80 or 84 there, whichever one it is that goes just up north of Portland, and I can take that east through southern Idaho, and then from there I can get to Wyoming and cross Wyoming. I did it one year before, so it becomes a 3-day journey rather than a 2-day journey when I do it that way.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, going back to you saying that you had to cancel your plans, I'm looking for the quote here, but there is a famous quote that says that we need to live the life that was meant for us, not for what we planned.
Fair.
So
but I'm such a planner, though.
I know, best laid plans. I understand. Hey, my feelings were so hurt when we had to cancel our F1 Vegas trip like the day before. Has nothing to do with floods. It definitely flooded there. We were supposed to go anyway, but when you have the best laid plans and everything's well laid out, sometimes it still gets canceled because of other reasons.
Yeah.
However, I am buying my tickets for next year. So
there you go.
I'm going to be ready.
Yeah, that's good. Well, and that's part of it too, is like the flexibility. Like I don't have to leave on Saturday. If all the signs are saying don't go, then I can just wait a couple more days, right? It's fine. I can leave when I want
you're driving.
to. Right. And I have a whole 2 weeks window of time that I'm off of work. So there's no crazy pressure or anything like that. I'll get there when I need to get there.
Nice. Yeah. At least we can turn our cars into sleeping cars so we can also sleep wherever too, right? It's not dependent on hotel reservations.
Yep,
we have
exactly.
Very expensive sleeping accommodations that we've created up for ourselves, but they are sleeping accommodations nonetheless.
Yeah, the flexibility makes it great because you can just hit the road, and then when you need to stop, you're good. You're like, I've got everything I need right here. I am going to make sure that I have extra accommodations with me. Like I'll make sure that I have full on meals available in the vehicle if I need to really hunker down for a while for whatever reason. So yeah.
Yep. Warm things. Yep. That being said, did you ever fix your cot that you said was melted to the bottom of your car?
Yes. I actually have 2 positive updates. Now I can get positive about things.
Ooh,
we had this negative swing. Yeah. So both updates from last episode. The cot, as mentioned, I think I gave Teton Sports a bad rap on our last recording because I said I hadn't heard from them. But it turns out that they had actually responded to me within 24 hours of me contacting them. I just didn't see the email for some reason.
Spicy.
Yeah. But no, they totally responded.
Is this your public formal apology?
Well, I wasn't saying they were bad. I just said I hadn't heard from them. But no, they're their customer service is really great. They responded within 24 hours. If I gave any negative impression at all from our last recording, then I do apologize for that. But no, it was great because they hit me back right away, and they're like, yeah, we totally will sell you just the fabric for the cot on its own. And it was $19 and then a little bit for shipping. Yeah, because it's for one thing, the cot's sold out right now. You can't even buy it right now if you wanted to.
Okay.
But it's a $125 cot. So that saved me quite a bit of money by just replace the fabric. And it was super easy. All I had to do was undo a few screws and slide it right on there. And it's like a brand new cot.
Nice. That's already fixed. Ready to go. Okay.
Yeah. And that one I'm sure is a fix. The other one I'm not sure is a fix, but probably is a fix, is my headlight issue that I had with my motorcycle. It had this thing where it would work when I turned it on, but then after I started the bike, sometimes the light wouldn't come back on after starting it because it has this like relay where it cuts power to the headlight when you're running the starter switch. So all the amps can go from the battery to the starter. So I had crashed it epically, not in 2025 Moab, but 2024 Moab trip. And apparently something had happened with that starter switch that made it just screwy enough that it seemed like it would work, but then you'd ride all day. And then just as it started getting dark and you needed the headlight, then it would just decide to stop turning back on. So it was definitely like a gremlin of all gremlins. But what I've done is the actual unit that the starter switch is on, they call it the starter switch assembly. I was able to replace that whole unit and it was basically plug and play. So it does feel a lot better. There used to be a couple times where I could get the light to come back on if I jiggled the starter switch. But with this new unit, like I can't even jiggle it. Like it's so clearly like something was broken with that switch because like it had so much play in it. Yeah. And that's not present in this new one. So I'm 90% sure, but I'm not going to really know until I do a whole day ride and then it like stays on that I can actually be 100% sure that it's fixed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
fingers crossed.
You sound very productive. Do you have any secret to motivation and actually doing the projects? There's one thing to buy it and then it comes to your door. What's your secret?
Yeah, do it as soon as you get it. Don't let it sit.
What if you're busy?
Well, then you have to leave it in something that's really annoying because like I get really annoyed if something's out of place. So I leave it on my kitchen table, right? So it's really in the way. And every time I'm having a meal, I'm looking at it. And it's a strategy.
I can leave things on the kitchen table for
okay, well, your mileage may vary then.
I'm one of those people that if you tell me that you're coming over, then suddenly things get done and cleaned and put away and fixed.
Well, there's your motivation. Absolutely. That's your magic for getting the house clean. You just have a party and then you're like, well, I guess I better do all these things. So
yeah. Recently there's an Instagram that I follow. Actually, she's on TikTok, but I'm not on TikTok, so I don't follow that. Her entire account is basically how long it actually takes to do things. And I love this because otherwise you're like, oh no, that's going to take too long. And she's like, no, you can mop your entire floors in 5 minutes and 42 seconds or something like that. She maps it out and I absolutely love that. So more of those. If you ever find those kinds of accounts, please send them my way.
That's legit. There's also like that 2-minute rule. Are you familiar with the 2-minute rule?
No.
If you think of something you need to do and it takes less than 2 minutes to do it, you should just do it. Let's say you have a bunch of clean dishes in your dishwasher and you just need to unload it. Like it will take out less than 2 minutes to unload your dishwasher. But instead, like what people will do, you'll just be like, I haven't unloaded yet. So then you start just stacking your dirty dishes into your sink. And then eventually your sink is full. And the only good reason you have is because you're just too lazy to unload the dishwasher.
I am too lazy to unload the dryer. I'm not going to lie. Those clothes are sitting on top of the dryer. They're clean and they've been there for a week and a half.
Oh my God.
Because I'm busy. So the Instagram account that I was recommending, it's Christy.Newrutzen. I don't know how to pronounce that, but CHRISTI.NEWRUTZEN. Anyway, if you guys are interested, it is a mouthful. And that's why I was like, wait, what? But her account is dedicated to those things. So I keep watching it so that I can get motivated because it really does not take that long. I'm also following this is a lot of information, but on Netflix, for some reason, they think that I speak Korean because I have a lot of Korean show suggestions. And one of them is Chef in My Fridge, which I guess is a longtime variety show of theirs. And they have these really high...
Is it called Chef in My Fridge?
And My Fridge.
Oh, and My Fridge. Okay.
And they bring these celebrities in with their fridges and all the food in them. And the very accomplished chef is supposed to take whatever's in their fridge and make them what they want in 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then I'm sitting here thinking, oh, I don't like to cook. Everything takes an hour and a half. But they're making whole gourmet meals in 15 minutes. And I'm like,
but they're professional. Man. They're professional chefs, though. When you make a meal yourself, it always seems to take an hour no matter what. I don't know what it is.
Right?
It's just 1 hour. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, oh, it's too much time. I can't be bothered. I'll just take whatever I can find at the grocery store.
Well, and I think, I'm not sure if you currently are, but at least I have been a Cookie Unity subscriber for some time now, once I realized that.
Yep.
It's pretty affordable and saves me so much time.
I have been shopping around. I agree with you. That's probably the best one to get. Yeah. I just wish they had a little bit more variety. Anyway, wow. Getting way off topic. We're supposed to be talking about overlanding, right? That's
Yeah.
what this channel's about? Okay, cool.
Well, so I think, yeah, we've been holding off on some big news here. You have a new passenger that would, I assume, be going
Yeah.
on
How many
trips with you.
passengers can we fit in the front row, right? We're going to find out. Yes. So you all know that I have a tiny dog, Boba, and now I have another tiny dog that doesn't have a name. That's probably going to be our Christmas time task. How many minutes is it going to take to choose a name for this dog?
Ooh, maybe we'll actually get emails if we ask our listeners to send suggestions. Although you'll probably have the dog name by the time we got any, to be fair.
Well, hey, so I'll describe her. She's very playful, but I found out today that she likes to throw fish snacks down and roll in them. So that's going to be super fun when her adult Pomeranian coat comes in. It's a double coat and it takes forever to wash and blow dry. But besides that, she likes to prance around and act very girly. She's got definite feminine side to her. Boba's not amused. He doesn't want a roommate. That is not his jam. I'm going to have to figure out how to bring her overlanding because that is a lifestyle that she's going to have to assume. Lucky for me, she is 8 months already. So I don't have to deal with the 10-week-old puppy stuff.
Yeah. The real test would be like, how's her stomach with the bouncy stuff, right? That was my big challenge with Ryder, getting him over that. Yeah, it took a while.
Yeah.
It took years.
So the bouncy stuff, I don't know. However, she has been camping in the RV and gone on tons of road trips with her breeder.
Oh,
so
nice.
I already know that she's crate trained and she loves being in the back of the car in the crate on highways.
That's a solid start then, right there.
So it's something.
Yeah.
And that was one of my criteria. So she passes that criteria. With Boba not being excited about her, I can't seat them together. So I have a snoozer product and they're made in the USA. They're little soft boxes for the dogs to sit in on the console. And because the 4Runner I have has got quite a lot of space actually between the two seats, it actually can seat two of these small dogs. So the snoozer large console box actually does fit two dogs. With one dog, they tend to bounce around on the inside if they're too small. So he didn't like it. He wanted the smaller one to hunker down in. So I bought like a passenger box that clips to the headrest so that she can see.
Yeah.
And then so he can keep his space. And then once they hopefully start liking each other because that's a big one.
The bigger one. Yeah.
That's
what I was going to suggest was having that other one. Right. So.
Okay. I really like snoozer products. They've got like great customer service and I think somebody is sewing them together.
Oh, wow.
They're like, they're handmade in the US.
Legit.
And they're not too expensive. They always have sales going on. We'll see. Anyway, I know we had an episode all about overlanding with dogs. I'm hoping that she loves sleeping in the car. I don't know, but she loves being on the bed at home on the duvet. So I imagine that, but in the car is probably going to be fine with her.
Yeah, you're in a whole new territory for me because I've never had more than one dog at a time. So that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out.
I think the combined weight is probably still less than Ryder, right?
Probably, because he's like almost 18 on a good day, sometimes 20.
Yeah, he requires like both arms, right? So
yeah. Dos manos with him for sure. So.
It's funny, like seeing your screen. I know the listeners can't see this, but while I'm looking at you, you've got Ryder's picture in the upper right corner, and it looks like picture in picture. It looks like Ryder's waiting to like chime in on this conversation.
That's a 4-month-old Ryder too. Like he's such a small wiry puppy in that photo. It's not the bruiser that he is now.
Awesome. Well, what have you been up to lately, Garrick?
I did get out this weekend. I have a segment about that though. But one thing I did want to mention that it's not overlaying related, but is motorsports related. I went to an event called Nitro Circus. It was held at the Everett. It's called like Angel of the Winds Arena. It's where the Silvertips play, their hockey team. This was something I was not familiar with, but it's a really fun event. It's basically high flying like motocross and BMX and like skateboarders. Like they're all doing all these like huge jumps in the arena right in front of you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so and it's like all the coolest moves you can possibly think of. They're doing at these insane heights. And like they have a lot of really neat ideas too. Like for example, they have one guy who they call Wheels, and he was born without the ability to use his legs. So he's in a wheelchair and he's dropping in on these huge jumps and then getting in the air. And then somehow, I don't even know like how physically how this works, but he's able to like twist the wheelchair around in the air
Oh,
and do tricks and then land it, which I don't know how you do that without legs. So being able to control your legs and get that sort of extra balance going on. But it's,
whoa.
yeah. So that was awesome. They had a ring of fire and then they had all these silly contraptions that they had built and they were taking those down. Like one was like a cooler, like just a dude in a cooler and just they like just welded like some handlebars to it so they could add something to hold on to and just go through the jump. Yeah. But like the amount of craziness too, they have this thing called the train where it's basically they'll have all the riders go one after another. So it'd be like, dude up in the air, like doing a trick, and then a second behind him, do another trick. And it's just if any one of them messes up, then everybody's gonna have a huge crash, right? It's something you have to be like really perfected on. So it was really fun. Like nobody did well, I shouldn't say nobody was in it. One dude got a little bit injured, but he had like blood. He had the bloody, he just like kind of scraped his elbow. It wasn't anything big of a deal. But he was really excited because he was doing this like crazy trick where he like flipped the bike underneath. This is one of the BMX bikes. He like flipped the BMX bike underneath him, and then he like swung it around sideways a couple times. And he messed up the first time. That's where he kind of scraped his elbow. But then he came back and then was able to nail it on the second try, and then became the crowd favorite as a result of it. So yeah, it wasn't too expensive. Like for us, we all paid with all the taxes and fees. We paid $40 a ticket.
Nice.
And it was like a good 2-hour program. I think that's kind of like the end of their tour because I only saw 3 other dates and they were all in Canada and they were ending like in the next like couple months. So I think you probably have to look towards 2026 for a new tour to start. If it's in your area, I would recommend checking it out because it was a good old fun time.
All right. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
How fun.
Yeah. So we have something new, a new segment that we've never done before because we never had the opportunity to do it. And that is responding to fan mail.
Fan mail.
We've made it, Melody. We have fan mail. It was like getting Toyota to respond to our Instagram and now this. That's the next step.
All right. So how does one send fan mail?
So if you look on your podcast app and you go into the description of the episode, at the very bottom, there's a link that says send us a text. So if you follow that link, you can actually send us a text via your phone. And what it does is that actually shows up on our host for our shows. It'll show up on there. And so we can see your messages. And it won't tell us who you are. It would only tell us where your phone's from. So we know that this area code is a fan from California. And I think it was specifically addressed to me because it was about cheese. So the exact text is...
Wait, I like cheese. What do you mean?
Well, about the type of that I could potentially eat.
Okay. Yeah. Not for me.
It says, have you tried Rebel cheese? Well, you actually might like this Rebel cheese. It looks very fancy. But the line says, have you tried Rebel cheese? It's for lactose intolerant people like myself. And it said, I haven't tried it yet, but it has a good following.
Ooh.
So I checked out the website and yeah, it's like very fancy cheeses and a lot of them are sold out. So it does seem like it's very popular. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good recommendation. We got random recommendations from fans. That's cool.
Right? Yeah. Like we don't even have to think them up anymore. Now we can just have people send it to us.
We can't take them on as our own, but I know what you mean.
But yeah, to answer, I have not tried it, but I will definitely check it out. And thank you for the recommendation. And for sending us a fan mail, because that's amazing.
Yay.
Yeah.
We're taking a break. It's Melody jumping in to say we're hanging out on Instagram if you want to keep up with the Overland nonsense. And if you're on Apple, Amazon Music, or Spotify, go ahead and download the episode so you don't lose us. All right, back to it. Ooh, we got some news that we have been trying to tell you guys for the longest time. And I am so excited to learn about it because I specifically did not, because I knew that Garrick would research the heck out of it. And so I want to hear it from you first.
This has been simmering for a while, and I've wanted to have it on our episode ever since they announced it, but we've been too packed with other stuff to talk about. But the WABDR 2.0, the Washington Backcountry Discovery Route 2.0, was released this fall. And this was very exciting because actually the Washington route was the very first BDR route released by the Backcountry Discovery Route, the BDR organization. And that was 15 years ago. A lot has changed as they've done all these other states. So the fact that they actually came back around to Washington, the OG, was really exciting. And I didn't know what to expect. I was like, okay, are they gonna change it entirely, or is it gonna still have the highlights that we know and love? And it's kind of a mixture of both. I think the two biggest stats that stood out to me was that it is 20% longer now, which is substantial.
That's
That ends up
huge. Okay.
being 688 miles total. And then the other number that I thought that was significant was that it's about a third different, which that's also really incredible to me, that like a good third of it would all be new stuff if you've done it before.
Okay.
I won't go too in depth about all the changes about it, but some quick highlights would be Section 1 is the exact same. They didn't change Section 1 at all. That's basically from the Oregon border up to Packwood. And then Section 2, they added this whole other route south of Rimrock Lake that looks like it would be a nice addition, because otherwise you're just like riding highway from Packwood until you kind of get to the beginnings of the climb up to Belter Ridge there.
Okay.
One other thing that I thought was interesting with the BDR organization as a whole, this isn't just a WABDR thing, but for all the routes, they had this sort of shift where it used to be they would have their main route, and then they would have these like alternate bypasses to go around the hard parts. Well, now they've changed it so that the bypasses are the main route and the hard parts are like the alternate expert parts you can take optionally.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's actually good though, because it makes it more inclusive in my opinion. And it feels better to say I did the BDR as like the main route versus, oh, I did the BDR, but I took the easy bypasses. Like that sounds less than it should be when it's still like a very epic, awesome trip, no matter how you do it, right?
That's true.
Yeah. But most of the new stuff is actually really in the upper three sections, like 4, 5, and 6 got most of the new stuff. So I really want to go back and do those with this new routing at some point in my life. It's hard to fit these in, but
Next year.
well, maybe next year's already looking busy, so we'll see. There was a big surprise though in this announcement that they had that was kind of shocking, because they had done all this advertising about the new refreshed WABDR 2.0, but then it turns out they actually basically created a 2.0 of their Oregon BDR as well. And that was mostly because they had to, due to logistics. In the Oregon BDR, in the old version, it started from the Nevada border right near Alver Desert. And so it took that like kind of through Field Station and then headed northwest into the Cascades. The problem with that is that if you tried to do the Oregon BDR, your options were usually like, if it's decent weather in the desert area, then you're going to have tons of snow up in the Cascades. Or if you wait until the snow melts in the Cascades, then it's just so hot and miserable in that desert section. So I understand what they were trying to do. Like, I understand why they would want to have as much variety as possible, but logistically, for something that you spend a week riding, it wasn't really possible. And there were sections in that desert area where literally the BLM was like, hey, we do fire restrictions pretty early, usually like in July, that say you can't even have vehicles on these routes once it becomes a certain level of fire risk. So logistically, they had to change it. So now instead of heading far east towards the Alver Desert, it sticks more to north-south route.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But I think it's the better for it. Like I said, it makes it a more manageable trip you can actually pull off in one run, to the point where I actually am planning on doing it in either late summer or early fall of 2026. And I'm going to do it by motorcycle, actually. What we're going to do is we're going to trailer our bikes down to Hood River and then leave our rigs in Hood River and then ride our bikes from Hood River via the highway down to the California border and then ride the trail back up to the Hood River via the BDR.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah. I'm very excited about it.
Woo! And that's how long? 1 week?
Yeah, we're doing. So it'll be like, on a Saturday, we would drive down to Hood River. And then on that Sunday, we would do the highway ride down to the California border. And then Monday would be the official start of running the BDR from south to north, which is how they're actually designed for you to do it.
Very cool. Yeah, I was going to ask, is it like the PCT where you want to connect them all and do them all for months, or no? You do
No,
them at a time?
they're meant to be done in about a week's time. And you do move a lot faster on bikes. So it is manageable to do in a week. With 4x4s, it's tough because you're getting bounced around so much in a 4x4. So you go a lot slower. I've said many times on this show that there's many times when we're riding bikes and we'll just zip around 4x4s. And it feels like they're not even moving compared to the speed that we're going.
So what's the best way to find out information on WABDR or ORBDR or
Or
IDBDR?
ORBDR, yeah. I think the ORBDR may be the best one as far as like the shortening. Yeah, so ridebdr.com is generally your first point of contact for that. That's where you can find the GPS tracks and additional information about the highlights and the towns that are along the route. There's also Facebook groups specifically for each BDR that you can find. Those are ones that are best for like you're like week before you're going. You want to find out like what the trail conditions are, if there's any closures you need to deal with for that.
Okay.
And then if you're on social media, that can also be an avenue for finding stuff. I think Facebook has generally been best for that, but I hear people use X for that reason as well. I'm not an X user myself, so I can't speak much to that.
Okay. Cool. Well, thanks for the update.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a long time coming, and we haven't mentioned the WABDR in a while, so
yeah, right.
Good. Yeah,
it's a whole new WABDR.
Well, I think you have also been to Whidbey Island recently.
Yes, so that's what I was supposed to go snow camping for our mutual friend Doug's birthday. That was the plan for this weekend, but then 3 atmospheric rivers had a different say, and then made us instead pivot to going to Whidbey Island, where Doug's family has a cabin out there, actually. Surprisingly, even though we've had like just nonstop rain and craziness for weeks now, it feels like somehow out of the blue, our weekend was actually kind of nice. It was like sun was shining and it was like mid 50s on Saturday. So the cabin we were staying at was right on Whidbey Island, just south of Coopville, pretty close to where the Port Townsend ferry terminal, it's like Keystone to Port Townsend is at. So it's like Keystone is like the technical town, I guess. And I looked, and what nearby was Fort Ebey or Ebey. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I'm just going to say Ebey, Fort Ebey State Park. And the reason why I picked to check this out is because it has a ton of MTB trails, but there's also Fort Casey that's nearby. And then Deception Pass is another cool thing to check out. So if you're ever on Whidbey Island, I would say check out Deception Pass first. And then if you're really into these decommissioned or deactivated forts, Fort Ebey and Fort Casey would be good things to check out. But I'll go into Fort Ebey first. The reason why there's these trails in the first place is because if you go back 17,000 years, the Puget Sound was covered in a giant sheet of ice, the giant glacier. And about 13,000 years ago, that glacier started receding. And when glaciers start their receding like that, do you know what it's called when the ice kind of falls off in big chunks?
I'm like
sure you've seen it.
Calving.
Calving, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because that calving, I've only seen it in water, but it can also happen on land. And the thing is, what happens is when it happens on land is that the ice will fall off and calve and they just land on sediment. Basically, the glacier's melting and there's all this runoff water, and that runoff water collects sediment. So then these rocks land on the sediment, but then the running water keeps going. So it just keeps depositing more and more sediment around that frozen block. And eventually it'll actually fully cover them. And then because the temperature of the earth is actually warmer than freezing, that ice will eventually melt and the top of it will collapse and it'll leave like a bowl. And that's called a kettle bowl. So it's present in anywhere that it was covered in glaciers. So it's actually really common in the Midwest as well and many parts of Canada. But in this particular spot on Whidbey Island, there is this Fort Ebey State Park, and right next to it, it's the Kettles Trail System. And they have 20 different kettle bowls there that were formed by the glacier recession. So it's cool because it makes for a really good environment for mountain biking because of all these bowls you're kind of going up and down in.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So that's the ancient history going back 13,000 years. But I figure I can go kind of chronological from there. Going to the Native American population, there was the coastal Salish that was indigenous to that area. And they used the high bluffs of Whidbey Island because as the glacier was receding, it also created these like really high bluffs that had these rounded edges. They describe them as like a bathtub walls, as that like glacier was kind of melting into the ocean. So it gives you like a really good vantage point. So the Salish people would go up on these bluffs and look for threats of their northern neighbors, like the Haida and the, you might know how to pronounce this. Is it Tlingit?
I don't know.
Okay, well, it's Tlingit. So however you pronounce it, I'm gonna say Tlingit, but I might be pronouncing that incorrectly. I'm sure Haida is being pronounced correctly because I know
I've
heard
is
you
being
say
pronounced
that
correctly.
Yeah.
That I know.
Yeah.
And the Haida, pretty scary tribe.
Don't count out the Tlingit because I have a story about that.
Oh, okay.
Coming up here. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, this was native land for a really long time until finally the U.S. government made the local tribes cede ownership back in like 1855. And that was said under duress. So it's a very common story of native lands in the U.S. And then just when I mentioned the coastal Salish, the present day descendants of the coastal Salish are the Swinomish, the Tulalip, Lumi, and Suquamish. So that was like in 1855 when they finally ceded it. But apparently there was already some like homesteading going on in the area. There was a guy named Isaac Eby, which is what the fort is named after. He settled in the area in 1850 and he had 642 acres of prairie land there. And I guess he like got really involved with the area. So he actually became the colonel of the territorial militia of Island and Jefferson counties. So like, yeah, the San Juans and Whidbey and Fidalgo, they're all the island county.
How do you occupy that much land? I'm all for being a homesteader, but I think I could barely take care of an acre.
Yeah, 642 is a massive amount of land.
And
they got it for free from the government. They're like, just come here and farm. And yeah, it's wild.
Crazy guy.
Yeah. So anyways, he was there since 1850. Things didn't go great. His first wife actually got sick and died, and then like their child died too. But he did end up remarrying. I think the person he married had a daughter, and then they ended up having like two sons with each other. But in 1856, the Tlingit were in the area, and their canoes were spotted by some people. And so the U.S. military actually sent like one of their vessels to go attack their encampment, which was located at what is now known as Port Gamble. And apparently they drove them off, but in the process of driving them off, they actually apparently killed one of their beloved leaders. So the Tlingit were really pissed off about this. So they came back in 1857 to exact revenge. And the idea was that they wanted to get somebody of equal stature as their leader.
Eye for an eye. Okay.
Yeah. So what they ended up doing is they ended up coming and assassinating Isaac Eby. Yeah, they just showed up at his house and like he heard dogs barking. It came out and then they just killed them. His second wife was so just affected by it that she never actually came back to that cabin ever again. She moved somewhere else. But apparently his two sons came back and farmed the land until they died. So it's kind of interesting story about.
Whoa. Well, 642 acres. You could be there for a long time.
Yeah.
Jeez. Oh, man, that's crazy.
Yeah. So that was 1857. Jumping way forward now to 1943. That's when they finished constructing the fort.
Like almost 100 years later.
Yeah, quite a bit. And so this was World War II era, because 1943, right? It wasn't a very big fort. It only housed 2 6-inch guns. Those are cannons. But it was actually interesting. We have a lot of these forts around the Puget Sound as part of the coastal defense. I think they started building like in the late 19th century and kept building them up until the basically end of the World War II. So this is the last one in that whole area. So it's actually the newest of all the forts that are out there. But they don't have the guns there anymore because I guess after the war, they cut them up and melted them down for scrap.
Okay. Well,
didn't have any value, which is interesting. But if you are into those decommissioned forts, there's also Fort Casey just to the south of Fort Ebey. And they do have some of the old cannons there. It's not the ones that actually were located at Casey. They actually did the same thing. They scrapped them. But when they were building out Fort Casey as a tourist destination, they were able to source similar cannons from our bases in the Philippines and spent like $20,000 bringing them over. It's like in like the 60s or something, bringing them over back to stateside and setting it up over there. So
wow, this is the really famous one, right? That has that really long, broad field. And it has a lighthouse on the end, or no?
It does have a lighthouse, and it had 36 guns as a comparison to like the 2 guns that were at Fort Ebey. So yeah, I think that I haven't been to Fort Casey personally, but given that, I think it probably is the big one. I know Fort Worden is pretty big, the Port Townsend side. And then I stayed at Fort Flagler. I spoke about this about a year ago on one of our episodes. I stayed at Fort Flagler, and that also is a really cool one to check out. And then I can't remember the one that we were on that was near Chelsea and Jesse. That one, it was a fort that it was less about guns and it was like a minefield one. Like they had a radio operated minefield, which I thought was kind of wild. I can't remember the name of that one though. Yeah, it was that place where we stayed we just rolled in the night. So you didn't even really see it.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Maybe it's a good thing. I get nightmares really easily.
But yeah, to finish out the chronology, after World War II, they pretty quickly dismantled it even after building that, and then became a state park in 1981.
Okay. Is there much that you can see historically there, or is it just now a state park?
Yeah, you still have the bunkers there, and then you can also still see the emplacements where the cannons existed. But it's also really gorgeous. They have this bluff trail there, and there's also a bunch of campgrounds too. But they have this bluff trail you can walk, or I biked it. And you're just like falling on the bluffs, and you have these perfect views of the Strait of Juan de Fuca and the Puget Sound to the south. I saw Rainier. Rainier was out and gorgeous. So that was great. For the MTB trails, those are more like XC style. So it's not your true mountain biking where you're going up a mountain and down it. It's more undulating hills up and down because of those bowls you're going through. They're mostly listed as like green and blue trails. I think the difficulty is basically because of those climbs. Like I was on my electric mountain bike, and it was tough going up some of those grades, even with electrical assist. So if you were like on a naturally aspirated bike, like you're either really athletic or you're probably going to hike a bike up some of them.
Oh, wow.
And then the technical rating was not crazy. There was some exposed roots, and it was slippy because of all the rain we've had, but I was pretty impressed because it had really good drainage. So for the most part, the trails were in great shape, even though it's been a crazy amount of rain that's gone through there.
Wow. And you said you were staying at a cabin, but can you camp there? Do you know?
You can. Yeah, I had a few visiting tips I wanted to share. It is a state park. So if you go there for just a day trip, you'll either want to have a Discover Pass, which is, I don't know if you know this, they're $45 a year now because they used to be $30 for like the longest time, but I guess they just upped it. If you don't have a Discover Pass, though, that's $10 for just using it for the day. But if you are there for the trails like I was, I mean, I have a Discover Pass. I could have parked in the fort, but the Kettle's Trail system is actually just to the east of the park. And that's owned by the county, the Island County. So they have parking for that, and that doesn't require any permit of any kind. So if you want to do like me, you can ride those trails, and those trails do connect to the fort. For the camping, like you mentioned, they do have campsites right at Fort Ebey, and they are reservable. They are not open during the winter, though. They close from November until February, which I think is kind of funny because you go there on a nice weekend, even during the winter, it would be fine, but who knows?
I guess the servicing.
Yeah, potentially.
In the winter would kind of suck.
Yeah. They do have hiker-biker sites there, which are nice. So those are always first come, first serve. And as I mentioned on previous episodes with the hiker-biker sites, if you show up and they're all taken, they have to accommodate you. So you're basically guaranteed a campsite if you are hiking or biking.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the trails that I mentioned, there's over 28 miles of hiking trails, over 23 miles of mountain biking trails. So you can easily spend over a half day just doing the trails if that's what you want to do. And yeah, it's a pretty good, very cheap thing to do. And it's got a lot of interesting history, both from a geological and social standpoint as well.
That's great, because there's obviously lots to do on Whidbey. So this sounds like a really good adventure to have in addition to like lots of other things that can be done on the island.
Yeah, I think do Deception Fast first if you've never been to Whidbey. That would be mine. I did that back in like 2020 when I first got my rig, so I didn't feel like I needed to do it again on this trip. But yeah, I think if you're even more of a World War II or military buff, then I think Fort Case would probably be more exciting as well. But if you're geological buff, Fort Ebey or mountain biker, Fort Ebey is your place to go.
Very cool. Yeah, I've never been. Thanks for the tips.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's that time for random recommendations. What do you got for us, Melody?
My random recommendation is a crafty thing that I'm going to have to explain because I don't know where this lives online, probably somewhere. But just thinking about things that you can share with your friends. Sometimes if you have crafting parties or if you, because I know Garrick probably has a lot of crafting parties.
Oh, you know it.
Where you can teach your friends or you trade your crafting things or your knowledge. I like to do a certain fire starter that is unfortunately on the more expensive side when it comes to fire starters, but it is much cleaner and it smells amazing and they last a super long time. So what I do for my fire starter is to get an all cotton ball, which sounds easy, but it's not. Actually, most cotton balls are not cotton anymore. So you do have to find 100% cotton or this will absolutely not work.
Interesting.
So you find 100% cotton ball and then you reduce real beeswax. And that sounds easy too, and it's not. Finding real beeswax is hard to find. A lot of it's overprocessed and it smells like diesel or oil or something. It's supposed to smell like honey. So if you get a real brick of beeswax and you reduce it on the stove in one of those like water pots, you don't just stick the beeswax right in the pan and put it on the stove. Please don't do that. Just like a little bit at a time because it's expensive. Maybe don't ruin all of it at once. And just get it down to a meltable temperature. And then you just dip the cotton balls, all of them, you just dip them halfway. And then as they dry on the rack, turn them over and dip the other half. And now you have an encapsulated 100% cotton ball that you can keep for a really long time. You can put them in cute little tins and share them with your friends. And then you can throw them in the fire if you need to. It makes it smell good too. So
nice.
Yeah.
Stephen Colbert, he has this segment called Meanwhile, and he always starts it off where he goes into this thing where it's like the ultra fancy, like super niche sort of thing where like you're like curating all this stuff and like it has all like the special terms, like the fancy way of doing something. And then but sometimes I want to go into a dumpster and then like pull up things and create this hodgepodge. So it's always like this like fancy version and then just redneck crazy version. So my redneck crazy version of this is you take like lint out of your dryer and then paraffin wax and they kind of do the same thing.
Oh, there you go.
In an egg crate, right? So then you have like an egg crate. Yeah.
And it's way cheaper. And then you can break off the egg crate, right?
Right. Exactly.
How do you keep it from dripping everywhere? I guess you can just encapsulate it in the paraffin wax, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so the paraffin wax like solidifies in the crate, right? So then you just have that egg crate. And you can cut up the individual egg cups and then just toss
nice. I like that. Well, I look forward to trading with you.
Well, I use I can't remember the brand. I'll have to look it up. But I use the ones where they're little cotton rolls and they're doused in something. And basically,
it's like a yarn.
Yeah, and you break them up into two pieces and then you use a striker to light them. Just because I really like the striker part. I find that a lot of fun. They work really well. They run for a really long time. I don't really ever have to use kindling. I can just take 3 big blocks of firewood and throw them on top of each other and then boom, fire.
Okay, well, you can give us the link for that so we can look for it.
Yeah, I will do that. I'll add it to the show notes.
Okay.
But I like the experience of yours more because it sounds like it's fun to make. And then like the good smell part, I think would be something that I'm not getting out of my solution.
It's a little less messy, and I like that. And then if you have wax left over, you can make a candle or something.
There you go.
It's not going to go to waste.
Nice.
Yeah. So what is your random recommendation, Garrick? Do you have 1 or 2 today?
I have just one. Well, I could have 2. I could have 2. Okay, it's a whole new year.
I'm messing with you because you're supposed to just have 1, but you always have 2.
No, now I'm doing 2. It's a whole new year. We'll start off strong. Yeah. Okay. So my first one, I've been putting on my list, but kept pushing it back because I had other like more topical ones in the meantime. But a boot dryer I got after my North Fork ride back in, I think that was like October, and it wasn't like wet day, but there was lots of big puddles, so my boots just got soaked from that. And usually what I've done with that is I've just taken my boots and set it out in the sun and let the sun dry them. But because we're in the wettest PNW fall ever, that just wasn't an option. And you don't want boots to stay wet because there's a lot of like gross things down in your boot. And then that can become weird smells that happen if you let that fester. So I finally bought a boot dryer, and they're not expensive and they're pretty great. You just hook them up. They've got little extensions. You can throw your boots on there, and it's usually like within an hour, they're dry. And you can use it for more than just your boots too. You can use it for gloves or whatever else you might have that's not easy to dry on its own. And I don't know about you, but I have a lot of stuff that you're not supposed to throw into the dryer. So it's nice to have it for those types of things as well.
Yeah, I'm 100% behind this. I absolutely love boot dryers, and for all the reasons that are not necessarily the ones you think of. So even if you just get something a little sweaty, you can put it on there to dry it up so it doesn't fester.
Yeah.
I used to be a hardcore climber, and so I would have to rinse my shoes each time I went, and then I would stick them on the boot dryer so that the leather didn't get all funky. And then gloves are a big one, snowboarding or skiing gloves that you can't really put in the wash. I don't know.
Right,
Maybe you can
right.
put those on there. And then what's another thing I put on there? I put my shoes. Ooh, don't hate me, but sometimes I put my sneakers in the washing machine. And
that's bold.
because sometimes the glue gets melted, but
Yeah.
I really love a clean shoe. And so sometimes I'll throw my, let's say, on running shoes or whatever, and I'll just throw them in there. They get bright white, which is fantastic. And then instead of putting them in the dryer, which is like not only super loud, but not very effective, I'll put them on the boot dryer to get them done.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can't go wrong. Fight the funk. Get a boot dryer.
Nice.
All right. Well.
Wait, what's the second one?
Oh, yeah.
You had
forgot.
Whoa. Don't leave us hanging.
Yeah. I'm wondering if this is just something you can only find up here or if you can find it nationwide. But I know it's made locally. We have these things, these meat snacks called Landjägers. And I know that Costco sells them because that's where I last bought it. So yeah, good luck spelling that. I see you typing into our notes.
Dude, I lived in Germany.
I think you got it.
It's going to be second nature.
Nice. Yeah, they're these smoked meats, and they're meant to be long lasting, so you can bring them on trips and don't have to worry about refrigerate them. And to me, they're like one of my favorite meat snacks ever. So I don't know if they're available nationally. I hope they are. If not, then I'm going to buy a bunch and then bring them to South Dakota as gifts because they're awesome. I think it'd be a crowd pleaser.
I think there is Bavarian meats, and I actually think that actually might be a P&W company.
It is, yeah.
It is, right?
Right. That's why I'm not sure if it's available outside of our region or not.
Well, where you're going, there should be a lot of Bavarian people, so they'll know where to find it. Probably like your local butcher or something.
That's true. And the Landjäger, while this is a particular thing that's offered by Bavarian Meats, but it is also something from the old country. So I'm sure other people make something similar.
So good.
Actually, I'll visit the Costco. We have to get a Costco reference and get a WABDR and a Costco reference in this one. I'll be hitting the Costco in Sioux Falls, I'm sure. So I'll be able to find out if they have it over there or not.
Well, thanks for that. Now I'm hungry.
So yeah, this is our first episode of 2026, even though we're kind of saying that from 2025.
Looking forward to the future.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for sticking with us through 2025 and looking forward to making even more special stuff. I know we're going to go into the winter doldrums for a little bit here. So we'll dig into some of these topics that we've been pushing aside while we were busy adventuring over the summer.
Yeah, it's a great time for the new year to set your overland intentions. Just saying.
I think on our next episode, we will be discussing what events we're going to be going to in 2026. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
All right. Happy New Year, everyone. We'll call that a wrap.
If you want to get in touch with us by email, let us know what you think. remotetrailsradio@gmail.com.
RTR, over and out.